Hello, this is Will from Roll for Crit here at Gen Con 2024. I'm here with Xander from Fantasy Flight, in particular, to talk about Star Wars Unlimited. This is the Star Wars trading card game that just came out earlier this year and, to my knowledge, has been doing pretty well.
Yeah, we can't complain. It's been such a great response from the community so far. Amazing launch. We had Jim Cartwright come out and talk about how much this is sold compared to all of our ones in the past, and it was astronomical. Absurd for all of us to see how fast everything went, and we're still, trying to get back with reprints and do things like that to make sure cards get into hand. But it's just been great to get to chat with all the community that is here playing on site, which is super fun.
Now, this is going to be, as of this release, we're on the set 2. But we do have some more information. We'll talk a little bit later. So let's talk about what's out now first.
Yeah.
So how have you seen you've talked quickly about the reception, but how has it been received in stores, like the people playing it? Has it been mostly just, the try-hard TCG players, us, the Match players have been there for way too long, or have you seen an influx of newer players as well because of the Star Wars licensing?
Oh, I would definitely say there's been an influx of new players, and obviously there's a lot to, chew on as a player that wants to get competitive and really get into the meat of what these cards are. But I would say that I've had, especially this last week, we're at San Diego Comic-Con, a lot of really great discussions with people who either hadn't heard of the game or just heard of it and were just playing on the kitchen table and things like that. It was really cool to get to chat with them and think about what leaders they were resonating with, which ones they like, which cards they were playing, all the fun stuff that goes along with playing at the kitchen table and not having to think about, oh, what's the meta, what's the thing that'll get me the most wins this week. And it's more like, does this thing work? Will this deck, accomplish what I wanted to? So I think there's a lot of really fun stuff for, just Star Wars fans or people who are interested in dipping their toes into a new card game. There's a lot here for people like that.
Now, one of the cons of having a good card game is the fact that it's going to become hard to find. And that's every card game. We've known that if you've ever tried to get any set, even ones that have been around for a while. So how have you guys seen the people consuming it, and how have you been trying to counter and make sure people don't feel bad just because they can't even get their hands on simple product?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're working off of a lot of allocation, obviously, for set 2, making sure that stores could get it to support themselves with selling to players, but as well as organized play. And so we're going to have more waves coming out here soon. I know that we have a wave of set 2 that'll be hitting later or in the fall, as well as we have a set 1 reprint that'll be coming as well. And so due to the massive demand, we wanted to come back and make sure, hey, we can get all these cards back to people. There's always going to be some of those cards in each set that everybody's going to want to have. But we don't want to price people out of that just to get the base rarity of cards. That was something we've talked about from the beginning, is making sure that this game is accessible to players. And if you want to start, blinging out your deck and some of the shiny stuff, maybe that'll take a little bit more work to find.
I've seen some of the prices on the singles. And,
oh, yeah.
But these are the ones, like one in a case or something?
Yeah, 1 in 2 cases for the showcases, yeah. And so, some of those things that you have the option as a collector to, find something that is worth it for you. But we want to make sure that, new players have the option to jump into the game, can get the base rarity cards that they want, and be able to play.
Now, you did talk about card staples and the ones everyone wants, but that sometimes can include cards that are maybe unhealthy for the game. Have you guys noticed if there's any card that you're worried about, or keeping an eye on, or have you felt like so far you've actually had a pretty good meta that people can play whatever they want, or generally, there's always going to be something a little bit better than the rest?
Yeah, I know we're about a month into set 2's meta, a little under actually. And so it's been interesting to see what people think of that one. But I know the biggest piece of feedback that we got after set 1 was that this was an incredibly healthy meta. Players, especially competitive players, felt that they could build a reasonable deck for almost any leader and show up to a locals or a tournament and do fairly well with it, which was really cool to be like, oh yeah, I really vibe with this leader. I want to bring them and not have to research somebody else. And they could build a good deck. I think there's always obviously some decks are going to have just a little leg up based on what other decks are playing, but I think that's something that's really prominent in this game, is kind of the rock, paper, scissors mechanic of aggro, mid-range, and control can kind of take down the next one. So once you see a rise in prominence of a mid-range deck, all of a sudden control decks become much more popular the next week, and you see people coming in and countering it with the deck that, hey, I'm a control player and this is my time to shine because everyone's gone into the deck that I can beat. And then aggro comes back around and finds those control decks and outpaces them. So it's been really fun to see how the meta changes each week, and really invites you to know the meta that you're playing against, as well as build the deck that you want to play.
And obviously, like you said, set 2's only been out for a little bit of time, so things can change. But so far, does that seem to be also the case? Nothing?
Absolutely, yeah. I think set 2's been looking really good. I've heard some really fun things. People have, their theory crafting, this ideal first turn for different decks, and then other people are theory crafting, okay, what's the way to make sure they don't get that ideal first turn? And it's been really fun to see people, foiling each other, which is super fun, rather than just coming out and saying, this card is too good. I think people have found a method of, okay, this thing is good, but it's not unbeatable.
Right.
I have to find that way to beat it. We're selling you the bricks to build this house with. We're not selling you a fully built deck or anything. You get to figure out how that works for you and your meta, which is fun.
Now, speaking of set 2 into future, before this recording, you had a nice little bit of chat with people, revealing maybe some new information. You want to talk about that here?
Absolutely, yes. So officially, as of today, we just announced set 3, Twilight of the Republic for Star Wars Unlimited. We're really excited to talk about it. It is, kind of our Clone Wars set, episode 2, episode 3. It's going to have a lot of those iconic characters that people know and love from the show and both movies. And we also announced that the 2 leaders for our 2-player starter are General Grievous and Ahsoka Tano.
Ooh, very, very popular characters.
Very popular. I know the number one question we got, probably, I would say 3 months after we announced the game as a whole, people were like, so when's Ahsoka showing up? Which is completely fair. I'm a big Ahsoka fan myself, so I was really glad to see, all that love for her. And now she's finally showing up. She's got a really fun ability, and I think people will really, really enjoy playing her.
Oh, I can completely understand, and I would hope personally, as a fan of the Grievous from the cartoon, that if there's some way you can get the hours back as a promo, would be like the mostly because everyone would be like, he's not coughing.
It'd be really cool. I really enjoy General Grievous, and I think his ability in this game is very fun too.
Awesome.
Getting to set up your droids and put them in your opponent's way is kind of like protecting yourself the whole time just by sacrificing a B1, just a little guy.
So you actually, those are probably, I would definitely say those are 2 very high-ranking sort of fan favorite characters.
Absolutely.
But how do you deal, though, with the fact that, Star Wars is a very big property, and especially now, there are just so many spin-off shows, movies. It's not just the simple, the original trilogy series.
Yeah.
How do you make sure everyone gets their character in there and in a way that they feel like they can play? Obviously, you not have everyone as a leader.
For sure.
But, having a good card in the regular deck is still almost just as great.
Yeah, I think the designers of the game do a wonderful job of making sure that each set has a unique theme, and then the characters that we're throwing in there are characters that people want to see and play, and we're bringing people, there's some deep cuts in there. There's always room for those people that are maybe not at the forefront of Star Wars. Maybe they just show up in the background somewhere. Maybe they have like one line and disappear. I think there's a ton of room in all of Star Wars to bring them in, and with 250-ish cards per set, that's a lot of people that you could recognize showing up, which is really cool.
Right, and back last year at PAX Unplugged, I remember I did ask, is there anything Star Wars off the table? And they're like, most of it's pretty much on the table. So video games, odd TV shows, they're still...
Absolutely. We had Iden Versio in set 1, which is people thought was unheard of to have a Battlefront 2 character, from the games show up in the first set of it. But she fit the theme, and we thought it would be really cool to bring in the Inferno Squadron. And there's just so many fun parts of Star Wars to explore. And it's one of those things where we're glad to be, working with Lucasfilm on something like that means so much to so many people, and we want to make sure that we're giving people the cards and the characters that they want. I know that there's plenty of characters that I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing in the game years down the road. That's what I bug the devs the most about is, when am I going to see this character? When can I plan on building this deck? And
right.
So we'll see.
They're just suggestions. You don't totally already know that they're coming out yet. No, absolutely not.
It's down the line, and I didn't know, or I do not know for some of them, and I go, when can I get a date, a firm date, so I have my wallet ready, so I can buy that hyperfoil version.
Just slide it underneath the table for me. You don't need to tell anyone.
Whatever you can do for me, that'd be great.
Now, speaking of, you play the game, that obviously. So
absolutely.
I gotta tell everyone what's your deck.
So currently in set 2, I have 2 decks that I've been building. If you've been to an event before or seen me around, I've been a big fan of Emperor Palpatine from set 1. It's really fun to play control in this game. I think it's really rewarding, and the back and forth action system lets you always have that chance to, interrupt and bother people and really get in the way of people's plans and keep yourself, ahead just a little bit as you go in. And ramp is really great. So Palpatine is very fun in set 2. I play with him with the blue base. Lots of healing. You get top target, moisture farmer, all the fun guys that just keep you alive a little bit longer.
Then what deck makes you sweat the most across the table?
Oh, sweating the most? Cad Bane. Cad Bane is terrifying for me. He's so good at, you get a lot of value out of having a shielded character, things like that, or playing stuff with shielding. And Cad Bane completely negates that if you aren't playing correctly against him. And all of a sudden your guys are, it's just you're ticking that clock down and putting your guys within range for his guys to reach you. And all their units can reach you at some point. And it's a very scary deck to play against for me, especially because I play a deck like Grand Inquisitor sometimes, and they're already, damaged units, and he just has the easy option of getting rid of them immediately. So it's really fun. I really enjoy playing against it, but it is definitely the one I fear the most, and I always go in knowing I can't make any misplays.
Fair enough. And last thing I want to talk about is, now that we're a few months in, more for the pro scene to show up in tournaments, how's that been going? Is there any changes you felt like you need in order to make sure people want to show up and try out all the tournaments, or feel like they want to go for the bigger tournaments that may be happening here at Gen Con as well?
Absolutely. I know our organized play team has been really hard at work making sure that this is going to be the program that people want it to be. And we've had a great roadmap that we've laid out, and we're kind of in what we call Season 0 to lead to that first Galactic Championship, which I'm most excited for. I know it's going to be kind of a celebration of all things Star Wars Unlimited for a nice long weekend, and so I'm looking forward to that. But I know that one of the things that we've already announced too, luckily, is that we have a limited number of planetary qualifiers for this set. It's always been in the works for a long time, so it's not something we could have immediately changed. But with the massive success of the game, that was the number one thing everybody was like, people are going to want to play in these competitive scenes. How do we get more stores and more locations access to this? And so we're increasing our planetaries for future sets by 3 to 4 times, depending on the area or the region of the world. And so it's going to be a lot more planetaries coming, and I think that'll offer people, or give people the option to get to more than one potentially, and also hopefully have one closer to home.
All right, awesome. Well, you heard it. Plenty more space for tournament play. Set 2 already out, so you can pick that up with a reprint for Set 1 if you missed out there.
Yes.
So you can pick those out without paying those scalper prices. And, of course, Set 3 on the horizon.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let us know your thoughts, what your favorite decks are, if you agree or disagree with Xander's choices there. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Will, and this has been Gen Con 2024.